And welcome to the I Work For Me podcast. I'm Melina Lewis, and today I am going to be chatting to Tammy Tinker. And she is quite different and unusual in what she does. I think that in trying to explain what she does, I might mess it up. So I'm going to actually allow her to tell you more about her consultancy and the brands that she works with, which are very exciting. And I am then going, without further ado, going to jump straight in and say, hello, Tammy.
Thank you very much, Melina, and thank you again for hosting me on your podcast. As I said before, congratulations on starting it. I think it's always amazing when people get their act together and get things going. And that is the biggest challenge in any entrepreneur's life. So to actually take your idea into a reality. So I think it's a brilliant thing that you've done.
Thank you.
My surname's actually changed, but my business is still Tammy Tinker.
Right.
My surname has now changed to Stortigioni Poodle, but it took me a while to pronounce it. So I still go by Tammy Tinker. I think it's been an interesting thing in my journey of my career, that surname of Tammy Tinker, because it was something that I believe helped me get my first job on a pile of CVs in the magazine industry. Someone obviously had a little chuckle and the surname stuck, and I got the interview, and from there moved into the start of my career when I was 18 in London. So I think it's quite it was a fascinating journey because I didn't know anyone. I didn't have a connection there. I moved from South Africa there because I wanted to do an internship, and I wanted to study fashion design. And without knowing anybody, it's very difficult. And everyone always says to me along my journey and now with clients, how did you start? Because starting is always the biggest question. And in the fashion industry and in design and in art, it's usually who you know that gets you that first foot in the door. And I didn't really have that. I just had a personality and I was eager. But I'll move forward because of the purpose of our conversation today is about the consultancy that I currently do in South Africa.
Yeah.
I started my consultancy first round, as I mentioned to you, about 3 or 4 years ago. And I had it open for 6 months and I just didn't have the confidence. So I had a few brands, but I wasn't actually able to put the business plan down properly. So I was very lucky that I launched it with a few clients. But at the end of the month, I was really challenged to invoice. I just couldn't invoice because I was looking at these designers and I knew what their turnover was. And I was like, I absolutely cannot put an amount to my time on a piece of paper, on a spreadsheet. So at the end of every month, my husband, or my then boyfriend, now husband, used to say to me, so how much do you invoice this month? And I was always like, shit, couldn't do it. So I think when I say the confidence wasn't there, I think I didn't, even though those brands are still with me, and those are the brands that actually are the paying clients and have been quite successful in the last few years. And I've continued with them throughout the journey. I think it was just quite a thing of value. And I wasn't ready at that stage. I didn't value myself enough. And it took me getting employed again. The first hiccup of an employment, I actually did a photo shoot for Louis Vuitton. They did an entrepreneurial shoot and they pulled in 5 different entrepreneurs on the day, all different walks of life. And I was one of them. And I sat next to a woman who's a headhunter, and she said, she was fascinated by the whole my business, and it sounded amazing. I mean, it really sounded amazing. And she said, do you have any struggles? And I said, well, actually, yes. At the end of the month, I can't invoice. I just feel like my gut, I just couldn't invoice these designers. And she said, what you need is a big money brand and allow yourself to do pro bono with the rest of your time. And through that, she actually set me up with Superbalist, who wasn't Superbalist at the time. They were starting Superbalist, and through a coffee with them, which ended up in a 4.5-hour conversation with the MD, I joined them full time as their creative style director. So I was too weak to continue my business. I carried on. I stepped right back into employment, and it absolutely broke me. It was the most challenging role I've ever had in my life. In South Africa, the industry in South Africa, the e-commerce industry at the time was so new. And yeah, it was a struggle, but it was amazing. And then from there I left but it was very commercial, and my training isn't commercial. It was in Conde Naste in the UK with British Vogue and Tatler. So I had always worked with luxury brands and not with commercial brands. I left Superbalist, and I joined Southern Guild and the Guild Group, which is 5 businesses under one umbrella in African design and art. And I joined them as their creative director straight off. I left on the Friday and I started on the Monday.
Wow.
Between Superbalist and that. And again, it was amazing. A dream role, dream company, amazing to be able to work with these designers. But in my gut, I was so frustrated. And I used to get would come home at the end of the day and feel so frustrated. And I think a lot of people will feel that when they're employed. And now, looking back, I used to moan about X, Y, and Z, and I constantly used to moan. And my husband said to me the one day, do you think that maybe it's you and not every company that you work? Because you keep moaning about the same things at every brand that you're working with. And in the beginning, it's this big love affair, and you put everything into it. And then next minute, you're in this like plunder of the same conversations of saying this one's not this, and this one's not doing things properly, and why is this one not doing this, and why is this one not doing that? So it was just an interesting thing. And I think then I did reflect, and I realized that I'm unemployable. I need to be employed by myself. Because when you are there every night till midnight doing something, or when you take every project so seriously and you put yourself into everything you do, you get frustrated when the outcome isn't what you had envisioned. So by working for somebody else, you're always going to have to listen to an opinion. And I'm not someone that liked listening to the opinion. So by doing it myself, I was able to just do it and know that the outcome is what I put in, and the outcome that the brands get is what, I follow the project through to the end. So it's worked very well for me.
Absolutely. In terms of work, I've also always tried different things, changed industry, gone from like medical repping to advertising to NGO work, and then eventually kind of going, actually, I have to work for myself because I am employable. I also like to put in 150%, and it's not so much around being able to, not being able to take criticism or not being able to work with people, but it's more that it's like your expectations aren't met, or you want to see more come out of it, or maybe someone just doesn't see your value, or whatever the case may be. It's a very, I think it is that we are obviously a certain personality type that are just either very difficult people. Yeah. I once had a boss who said I was a very difficult person. So here we go. So, it's all that stuff. But then luckily your husband and mine actually did the same too, where it was just a case of you actually need to work for yourself. And the more I work for myself, the more unemployable one becomes. But there's something quite cool about that.
Completely.
Yeah, definitely. Finding yourself, knowing who you are, and then, okay, how can I make this work?
Yeah, and I think it's also that it depends if you are someone. I remember when I was at school, I had a career person come and speak to us about what to do in life and whatever. And I think some people thrive off a community that some people thrive to be employed. So they want to be doctors. They want to be not even employed, but they have a genius brain, and they need to study to get licenses for various things, like being a doctor or whatever. And other people are just skillful and they do it. They're able. We are obviously able individuals. There are a lot of people that are able individuals. So you can actually drop yourself into a marketing position or a sales position or whatever position, and you can do it. You can do it very well. But it's you that is unhappy. It's not your surrounding. You're actually achieving your goals and you're achieving what the company needs, but you yourself are like so frustrated. And I think that was one of the things that I realized is, of course, I can do this X, Y, and Z, but that's not really what I want to do. And any job that you go to is going to have 50% of crap, literally, that you have to do, because that's what the role entails. And I think, especially in the South African market, this current climate, you have to merge roles into one, because companies can't afford to have you solely as a creative director, or solely as an X, or solely as a Y. You become the X and the Y together. You merge as the two together as one. So I think that's also something that the current climate. I mean, back in the day when I started, when I was 18 in the magazine industry, I loved my job. It was the best because you got to focus on the job that you were asked to do. You weren't asked to do 3 or 4 other things. It was only that particular job at that particular time, So I think that is so, for me, the world is changing. So as an entrepreneur, you're able to identify exactly what it is that you are good at, and focus just on that in your business. So you can, that's my view on that.
Absolutely. And in terms of your current business, what is your business like? What do you do? And how do you extrapolate that into maybe various income streams?
So consultancy on brand, there are various different ways. So when I left the Guild Group, I was chatting to a big corporate, actually an art fair at the time, about how upsetting it is that product in this country and these big corporates are supporting international and not supporting local, because there are a lot of people doing corporate gifting, blah, blah, blah. And instead of getting a local pencil, they're getting a pencil from China because it's cheaper, and they're going an easier route. So there were massive budgets being spent, I saw. And in going through funding for brands, you see these big companies would like to it's like green advertising. They want to look like they're doing good for Africa, so they have like all these big campaigns, but then the actual product they're developing for marketing purposes or whatever it may be is an imported product that's been stamped with a local something on it, or they fly the flag on an ad campaign, but then actually what they're doing on their day-to-day basis is not speaking to that language. So and I'm very passionate about bringing manufacturing back to South Africa, because we used to be a massive manufacturing hub, especially the Western Cape, and we've lost it. And I mean, you look at like Rex Treeform, you look at all these beautiful places in Woodstock, they're all abandoned, and it's so sad. And you see all these old beautiful Singer machines, and it breaks my heart. And there are so many skillful people. Like, look on the side of the road at the guys making wire beings and the little beaded ladies, and there's so much, the embroidery ladies, there's so much skill in Africa. And if you look at traditional clothing, I mean, that skill's been passed down for generations when sewing machines weren't there. There's a craft in this country that's amazing. So I have this bee in my bonnet about trying to, everywhere in the world, everywhere I've worked, and any international title I've worked on, we always used to have trend reports from Africa. We always used to have Pantones inspired by Africa. We used to have embroidery and designers that we've been flitted all over our campaigns. And then you watch the international designer with a collection that's been inspired by a little guy in Cape Town. And it's like, what? How did that even happen? And this little guy in Cape Town is not even able to produce enough product to make any money. They're working as waiters or working in different industries to try and make money and designing on the side. So it didn't add up to me. So when I left the Guild Group, I had this very big, passionate conversation about African design and how these big brands have all this money and they're not spending it right. And he's like, well, I can get you sitting with Sanlam. Do you want to have a chat? And I was like, oh, absolutely, have a chat. And this chat ended up in a massive project. And I didn't actually realize at the time that it was a pitch because I remember it was quite funny because they said to me, oh, so your consultancy, your team. And I was like, yeah, me. I didn't even have a logo. I mean, I literally didn't have a logo at the bottom of my email address. It was quite amusing, and so it flowed. So the consultancy, all of a sudden, the world aligned and everything came together, and my business then launched.
Right.
And it launched backwards, as I said to you. It launched in a way that then I did the logo, and then slowly but surely built a little website, which is terrible. So I've taken it down. I'm actually busy currently doing another one on Squarespace. So if anyone wants a brilliant, amazing platform to launch your own little business, Squarespace is so stunning. And it's so easy to work. You can design everything yourself. It's like super cool. And from there, the main concept of that was it changed what I thought my consultancy was. And in the beginning, I thought my consultancy was, you put your hours in, you sit with brands, you build their strategy, you help them with their collections, they execute, they earn money. And how I wanted to structure that is that instead of paying me an hourly rate, I got a percentage of the final turnover. So I take 10% of the project. So I launched my business so that, because of my learnings of the first round, I launched it so that designers didn't feel me financially, and no one would feel me financially. I came in as a shareholder ultimately. So I was as invested in the project as you are, and I'm only taking 10%, and you can calculate that before you put your whatever it is, if it's a fashion week, if it's a collection of clothing, if it's a collaboration, whatever it is, you put that 10% in. So we do it all together. We calculate this all together. So it never affects what your bottom line should be. And it was great. And it worked. And I was so, I'm someone that shakes hands with everybody and doesn't put contracts in place. And I had advice to put a contract in place and send it out to everyone, including film, photographers and videographers, and saying, we're going to do this project and it's going to need to touch all elements. Are you happy when you quote the client? Everything's very transparent. 10% of the fee is a referral fee. So we work on this referral. And it was very successful. It was amazing. And it was a very successful first year of my business. Luckily, what is the great thing is when you have worked with people for so long and pro bono, which I had done for the last 6 years, always on the sideline and always trying to connect and making projects happen, because I'd rather a project happen than I hinder the project. So I was always very warm and open and saying, I don't need anything from this, just you two meet and you two go forward with this, because I know that it will happen if you two are together in it. You don't need me in the long term or whatever it may be. And I think because I've been very open with my database and open with connecting, people trusted me. So I then fell pregnant. I worked while I was pregnant, but those referral fees were still in place. So I was still earning off the original referrals. So it allowed me not to have to physically, when I was giving birth, the project was still midway, and it allowed me to step out and be available on the phone, or available, but not physically there.
Right.
Which was amazing. So that actual structure, and I think that's where people think sometimes too much inside their own box, and they don't think outside the box in terms of monetizing their business. There's so many ways to generate income, and there is so much money in South Africa. I'm not saying right now, I'm sure, everyone's taken a huge knock, but there still is, the rich are still rich. So there is still, and the budgets are still budgets. Yeah. In our, we still have these budgets. So I think that people just need to tap into the right places and have the right conversations and be quite open. I think in South Africa, I struggle because people don't really share and don't talk and don't, and that's not only in South Africa, but in South Africa, a lot of people are very like, this is because the market is very small. People keep things to themselves and they're not happy to share a connection or share an embroidery lady that they've worked with. That's great. And for me, it's every business, you can't be a silo. A business and an industry is built on many people doing similar things. If you're a solo wine farm in the middle of Stellenbosch, why how many people are going to come visit you there in the middle of Stellenbosch? You know, you need to have 10 wine farms in the middle of Stellenbosch to be able to make you a destination to visit. And I'm not saying people won't visit you, they will visit you, but chances are more people will come to you for a day. Or if South Africa had one film industry or one studio, there wouldn't be as many films being shot in this country. You know, it's because we've got a great resource of loads of different studios that people come. So when people are like, I'm doing this and you shouldn't do it because I'm doing it, and you know, and people restrict, it's the worst thing that you can do. And it's the worst thing as an entrepreneur not to just share, because so I think that as an entrepreneur, I would say have conversations, open yourself up to vulnerability, and have a awkward conversation. And you know, my husband and I, even just the two of us over dinner, he's got a business, port to port. It's a wine e-commerce that's been going now for 5-6 years, and we're constantly talking about things because one of us will trigger something for the other. Yes. And the other will trigger something, and it's not always easy to have these conversations. And sometimes you get like, but you think you know better than I do, and blah blah blah. But to open up to friends, because the chances are someone's going to say something that triggers something in you that you didn't think about. So I think that people need to just keep the level of communication open and keep going and keep chatting, and yeah.
Absolutely. I think that is so true. We do get quite protective about you know, our little businesses, but then that's exactly where they stay, is little businesses. They don't 100%. Grow, they don't expand, they don't think
and they don't differently. Completely. And collaboration at the end of the day, and working with people and connecting with people, is ultimately what grows every business.
It is. If you can't collaborate, then same thing, going to end up that small little business,
isolated. 100%.
And I mean, Tammy, the thing that I found interesting, what you said before, was in terms of your process and how you've moved forward. I really loved, you know, that you've built obviously a name for yourself in the industry over time, which helps a lot. And you didn't only build your expertise and what you do and what your offering is, but you also helped others in that. And I think often as entrepreneurs, we think, oh, I've only got, you know, my little 50 Rand that I can do X, Y, and Z with. I can't give more than that. But sometimes you need to give just of yourself and your advice and your expertise.
Completely.
And you showed that has, in the long run, those people have now become clients.
And so have that coffee.
Yeah.
Like if someone asks you to have that coffee, have that coffee. Go and get out of your workspace. And I was saying, when I wrote to you, I said, you know, this is my little desk in our living room, but I go to two of my favorite places, and it's such a good place to connect. And it's a funny thing, because even when I've had no income with my consultancy, spending that 40 Rand, I know it's a lot, but I have almond milk in my coffee, but going to spend that 40 Rand has actually generated a client out of the blue. So it's like, you've got to put yourself out there, and you've just got to, and some days you just don't feel like it, and some days you're feeling really like blah. The moment that you get up, but it's also, as I'm an introvert, which funny enough, I did a test on it, and everyone always laughs. They're like, no, you're not, you're an extrovert. I was like, no, I'm actually an introvert. I need to step away to refuel myself, because when I'm out, my energies get sapped from me. And I'm that connection of going out, and it's not an easy thing for me. When Fashion Week is on and when the events, I don't love going to them. Once I'm there, it's great, and the connection is amazing, but you've got to just get out of your comfort zone a little bit. And I do think that whatever your idea is as an entrepreneur, talking about it and getting out there and listening to people's negative comments and positive comments and their concerns, and really helps. And it is the only way you can grow your idea to a reality, I feel. Because my story is that it landed in my lap, kind of. I was in the right place at the right time. But isn't that all of life? I do believe that you've got this pathway, and your goal is X, and you're going to get to that goal. It's just which route you take to get there. So if you you can always battle, and you will always battle. And my husband and I talk about it all the time, and we actually had this conversation because I said, why is it that you never celebrate with me? You always like, with me, it's always like doom and gloom and everything's so bad and blah, 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 blah. When I hear you on the phone with other people, it's like, actually, I can hear that things are going quite well, and it's quite exciting, and the exciting things happening. But with me, it's like, oh, the programmers are killing me, and this is hard, and this is hard. and the same with me. I'm often, that's why going outside of your initial circle of just you and your husband, or you and your partner, or you and your child, or you and your house, or just you alone in your little workspace helps, because it allows you to also see things in a different perspective at times. It allows you to also reap the positive, and then it might trigger something, and then they might go, oh, actually, you know, so-and-so, I know so-and-so needs something. So,
yeah.
You know.
Exactly. And I think it is about also, there's almost like two approaches, where it's finding your tribe of people. So those people who are either in a similar industry or working the same way, you know, like moms who work in the morning and then do kids in the afternoon. Like there's multiple little tribes that we kind of operate in. And I mean, sometimes that tribe isn't necessarily your closest, but it's like the bigger industry. And then finding the right people within that industry who then, will refer you and pass on word to you. And also...
And that is the best way. That word of mouth is the best way to grow your business. Really, there's no point in spending on advertising, all that stuff, in a small industry like South Africa, because the truth is that we are tiny. We are really small. If a business was in New York or whatever, I understand that you need to, but South Africa really is tiny. So, but with so much opportunity. I'm not saying the tininess doesn't mean great opportunity. So I do think that it is about getting that communication out, and and just connecting, because connection is key.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think that goes to everything we've said in terms of around connecting with like-minded people, connecting with the bigger industry, and then also sharing those connections. So not feeling that need to own a contact, and rather being open to sharing it. And that's what you reminded me. I really loved what you said about thinking about your business in terms of, you know, that referral fee. And very often we don't. We will just, you know, it's one thing to share a contact with someone, but if you are strategically putting together a solution for somebody, you are more than welcome and allowed to ask for a referral.
100%.
Like
100%. And that connect is important completely. And I think that people need to understand that you've built. So if you take a project and you've got your core team that you introduce to the project, and that referral fee falls into place, obviously it's very different. But like I was saying to my sister, who has also been on your podcast, she's very good with body connection. So, and I do classes with her, and I've been lucky enough to train with amazing trainers in London as well, just by being in the beauty industry over there. But I said to her, if you've got a physio, you've got to connect with the physio and get some sort of kick. If you've got an amazing physio, because that, and the physio must connect with you. So ultimately the two, so you get this little pod of organizations that work together, and you become an organization. In the old days, you'd pay a premium rent to be part of a building, for argument's sake, on the right street, to have Harley Street, for argument's sake. You're the doctor, you're the oncologist, you're the this, you're the that, you're the next thing. And you're paying a rent to be a part of the space because you know that you're going to get clients. The world's changed. So now it is about having different spaces with different great people that you can connect and kind of share with one another. And I think that somehow to monetize those is my advice. When I sat with her and I said, you need to monetize that in some way, because I do think it's important. I don't think anyone is going to be upset by giving a 10% back to the person that referred them as a long-term client. So that's, so I do think it works across all industries, not just fashion and design and art.
No, definitely. No, it works. I am a big proponent of it. I'd seen it work in advertising. You know, I'd learned that from my boss. They weren't shy to, okay, well, if we bring the solution into, you know, make a certain campaign work, that solution will pay us. But it's always with that level of integrity, in the sense
100%.
that you are bringing the right solution.
It is the best thing. It's not your cousin.
Exactly.
Or your, it's actually because it's
no
the right skill.
Yeah.
Completely. Exactly. So it's got to be the right skill. And I do believe that. So you do have to do it with the integrity. You're right.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So Tammy, in terms of, so you've built this business up, and now tell me, what are the things that maybe, you know, because as you say, so the client came, and I think that does happen to a few people, and that's wonderful. Great.
And it could be a small client or big client or whatever it is. Yeah. It just gives you that one little boost. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's the confidence to say, yes, you're worth something. Yes, we want your advice. Make it happen. Like, we're ready. Go, invoice it. And that's superb. But once you'd kicked off, what were the things you realized were like, oh, crisis. Okay, so you did a website. Now you don't like it, so you're changing it. Love that. That's great. And you're doing it yourself.
Accounting. I made big mistakes. Very big mistakes. I think that, and it's so funny, I've got this amazing young guy who's my accountant, and I basically miscalculated my first project, so I ended up paying in for my time, but it was a bit of a disaster. But he said to me, and then I sat with him, and he said, it was my aim, I mean, this sounds ridiculous, but it was my goal to make R1 million in my first year. He asked me, what do you want to do? I said, I want to make R1 million. And he said, okay. And my husband kind of giggled, and we all kind of laughed, and everyone was like, yeah, good luck to you. And so I told him that. So he said, okay, well, we're going to build your finances so that for that eventuality. And then I said, you know, I probably won't, and let's like cut the corners, let's do this, let's do that. And he said, no, you've always got to look at it like, you've got to set up your Xero account properly, you've got to do X, you've got to do Y. So we did it, and we built it up in that way. And I did make it at the end of the year. And it was like an exciting thing. But I think so I would say, build what you do for that bigger picture. Don't build what you do for the interim. I understand a bootstrap, absolutely. That was what I did in terms of my CI and many other things. But the actual cogs of it, like when it comes to tax and those sort of things, they're not my skill. Don't take shortcuts. Get that done properly. Get your systems in place. Get your communication in place. Get your not e-commerce, but your point of contact and your email set up. Get all those logistical things that a business needs done, and invest in that. But don't overinvest in a team or an assistant or whatever. Do it and reach out to, there's so many accountancies, and there's an amazing group of women, I forget their name, Caveat, in Newlands, that are all women that have worked. They just happen to be women. I'm not all about girl power, but they all just happen to be female. They've all worked in big firms, and they have had kids, and they now are lawyers independently. So they charge half of what Cliff Decker does or whoever else, and they do as well because they've all been a part of it. And, you know, get your contracts in place and set yourself up like you are a big player, and you will become a big player.
Yes, and that is it. It's there's two parts to that. There's the vision and the goal. So that kind of like mindset, or that manifestation, however you want to put it. And then it's taking that and putting it into nuts and bolts. So it's that, right, if I want to play with big people, big dogs usually have contracts. They also, you know, invoices look like this. Yeah. And then I better set up my finance.
And don't start your invoices 001. Start your invoices 00151. A little trick for confidence. Promise me, the person that you're invoicing is like, wow, okay, they've been in this for a while. Meanwhile, it's like, I had that little trick told to me. It's a good trick.
That's a great trick. I absolutely love that trick. It's super. Yeah, it's about.
It does make yourself do clever little things.
Yeah, and it is the small things. It is the small things. Yeah. If the invoice doesn't have everything that it needs to have on it in terms of information. Yeah. Are you charging that? Aren't you? Have you registered for that? Yeah. Get a bookkeeper, get an accountant, someone that can really, really help you in terms 100%. Of those things. because everyone has to invoice. It's my favorite time of the month, actually.
And also learn completely, I know, but learn about it as well, because I remember we had a financial director at one of the companies I worked at, and she said to me the one day, there's nothing less attractive than a business owner that doesn't understand the cogs of their finances. And it was something that always stuck to me, and it stuck with me. Understand how to invoice. Don't just, because it actually isn't as difficult as you think. Get your accountant to sit with you and explain to you what zero means, because at the end of the day, you need to understand. If you understand the things from the beginning, when you do grow big and you do get more clients and you do have to employ an accountant, you can look at those books and understand where there could be discrepancies. So I've been a part of many businesses that haven't understood their finances, and they're in a complete mess. And I think really, and I know attractive is not the right word, but she used the word attractive. And it was something that sat with me, and I was like, I don't want to be that person ever, that someone comes to me and says, well, actually you haven't paid the tax man and you don't understand what's happened because you employed an accountant that has been running your business for you and running it actually into the ground.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that.
Definitely. And it is just we don't have to like accounting.
No, not at all.
Except accounting.
And you don't have to do it yourself, but just know how to do it. Just understand it.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. And just understand what that is being paid in this country. Just get those numbers as well.
Yeah.
Educate yourself on that element.
Exactly. Because if you don't know, someone will take advantage of you, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And
completely.
It might be the accountant that you hire. So I think it is super, super important. Okay, so 2 great learnings there in terms of what you need. And then in terms of your business and you mentioned some of the failures. So what I liked was that you tried to go on your own quite early on.
Yeah.
And then you got pulled back in. It was almost as if the universe was saying, wait, you need to learn a few more things.
Yeah.
And then when you were ready, you came out again. Any kind of failures that you've picked up on and then learned? So obviously the tax is one of them. Anything else that comes to mind that has now changed how you work in your business?
I no longer spend as much energy and time on what I don't pitch. I don't pitch anymore.
Okay.
So I think you can spend a lot of time putting proposals together and pitching to brands, and then it's kind of like you watch your project go ahead without you. So I've learned not to pitch, actually. If they want me to be on a project, they put their finances where their mouth is, and we get started and we do it together. We strategize, and so we get started, as opposed to like 3 months of conversation and nothing being done, and you just putting more and more energy. So I think a lot of people, and it's actually something that I learned from an international business talk that said, you know what your fees are, get your fees sorted, get yourself in a position where people are coming to you because and I don't even think, if you're starting out in your project or whatever it may be, you should put all these huge I do understand you need to put a small proposal if you're doing marketing and PR for a brand, but I feel as if, I suppose maybe it is, I'm just trying to think if it only applies to what I do, but it's like an architect giving someone the whole design of their house without any payment. It doesn't make sense. And there are a lot of people that are like, so don't waste your time, I would say. If you want to be a part of a project that has no money or has no finance, whatever, do it. Absolutely, pro bono, and get excited about it and put your all into it. And whatever project it is, because you never know if that project that starts off as a favor to a friend might end up in one of the biggest projects of your life. So don't do it half-heartedly. If you're going to accept any project, accept it and do it to your fullest ability. And don't accept things. Don't say yes, because that was another learning. I used to say yes to a lot of things, and then I used to be so flustered and be sitting here at night with anxiety because I hadn't gotten to all the things I wanted to get to. So I ended up disappointing people, and actually, in hindsight, I was just trying to help them. So I would say that's another learning, and don't take on what you can't follow through, and deliver, and not put your all into, because it ends up damaging relationships that could be very influential to you later down the line. And I know that it's exciting to say, yes, I'm the worst person. So learn to say no kindly, because it actually is more detrimental to you saying yes to something and not doing it properly than actually just saying no. Sorry, you don't have capacity to do it right now.
And
so, that's another big learning.
And that's a great one on both sides. So I've been on both sides where there's that thing of, I also get very excited about projects. I'm quite a yes man. And so then rush into something, and then I realize, oh no, I actually don't have the capacity for this.
Yeah.
So then
yeah,
exactly. You either kill yourself in trying to meet the demands of now what you've committed to, or you have to now try and get out of this and pull yourself out. And you disappoint people, and you upset people. Yeah, and unfortunately, on the other side, in the NGO space, what I've found is that people will say yes, and then either, they don't deliver, two, they don't half deliver, they just completely don't deliver. And in that space, it's very disappointing when someone has said yes. And so I can see from both sides how, yes, I think we should give. I think it's paramount to what we do. And if you can give of your time, why wouldn't you? But it's important to pick your projects carefully and pick maybe one and do it beautifully.
And set your boundaries as well.
That's it.
On those projects,
Exactly. So talking about boundaries, any particular boundaries that you kind of really stick to, or is that a work in progress?
Clearly not, when you look at my household. No. Well, I try. I mean, I actually can't remember what I wrote to you, but I think we do a thing. It sounds maybe a bit silly, but my husband and I do a thing where we don't have our phones on in the evenings. Our phones are away, absolutely away, gone, because of both of us being, he's in the tech industry, I'm dealing with a lot of people with social media and things like that. So I think that's a very important thing, and it drives our parents nuts, because they're like, we're trying to call you, and it's like, actually no, it's our time. So I think, and our family is very important. So Penelope always comes first. We've decided to have a baby, and I am the predominant carer for her, and we're not a household that, in the past, we've been equal breadwinners. At times when he started his business, I was the breadwinner. We've had various changes in our relationship and how we've supported one another, and right now it's not my time to shine, yet I'm still able to keep my business going, which is amazing. And I'm launching a little kids marketplace now as well. I do multitask a lot, and there is chaos always around us, but I think just keeping that core together and realizing what your values are, because at the end of the day, I value being a great mom over valuing being the best businesswoman right now. A year ago, that wasn't the case. My value was that I wanted to be a kick-ass entrepreneur, and I wanted to do the best at that. So check in with your values along the way, because sometimes I found myself in a little bit of angst after I had Penelope, because I was like, where's my purpose? I don't know what I'm doing, and actually seeing a life coach taught me that this is the biggest collaboration of your life. You've got a husband, and you've got this third party, this third being that you are setting the foundations for its life. And I chose not to have a nanny. I chose to balance work and her, and I'm very lucky that in this chapter of our lives, my husband stepped in and he's supporting us. So, but I was battling with that because I've always been so independent. And I was like, I've always been so independent, but I don't need any more finance. It's actually about finding the balance in your life at that particular chapter. And that chapter changes possibly weekly, if not monthly. So you've got to choose as an entrepreneur what your check-in device is. And if something's not working in your business, irrelevant to whether you've had a child or not had a child, it may have changed, and you haven't done a little check-in to see that your business has changed and your goals have changed. And we spoke about it because in my husband's business, he's just sold a percentage of it. And when he launched, he was like, this is my business for life. I'm never going to sell it. And we actually sat over a glass of wine the other night, and I said, isn't it funny how you might be having this particular attractive or this feeling because you never thought you always said to me that you're never going to sell. You didn't build this business to sell it. So I think that's another thing that you may have when you initially start your business, or when you initially start your whatever it is, you're like, this is just for me, this is very personal. And then 2 months down the line, someone wants to invest in you and you go with it because it's so exciting, but actually it doesn't align with what you had originally thought. So just keep those check-ins and those boundaries in place, because things can excite you. So I think that's another a big boundary for me is family time first, because that is what I've chosen in this chapter of my life. And both of us align with that value of switching technology off and having personal time together that's just for us. And I think technology is a big thing. I think phones and stuff, even TV, it's great to escape into a movie, but actually sitting, having a date night and cooking for each other, or whatever it may be, or having a 15-minute gratitude session, or it's so important, and we seem to forget that. So my boundaries are more personal in relation to my work. With work, I mean, I'm happy to sit with you at 5 a.m. and pack boxes, and so I have zero boundaries. To get a project done, I'm there. And I'm lucky that my husband's the same. So we're in the middle of this lockdown, and he's about to have to open up all his shipping, and we're there. We're ready to pack. Penelope's got his sellotape ready. We all are going to be in there packing boxes. So we have no boundaries in our relationship to make a project that we're on succeed.
Oh, you remind me so much of my parents in that sense, I find that my husband and I are very much the same when it comes to work, and when it comes to delivering. I'm incredibly delivery driven. I'm that gold star chaser, so I want to get that project done and out and make it happen. And I think if I could give advice off of what you've said, it would be that, make your projects happen. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But as you say, underpinned by your personal values, what you personally are going to be comfortable with. So sitting and packing a box at 5 a.m. isn't going to impact your values. You'll make up that time at another point with your family. And
100%.
So then
it's not there for forever.
Exactly.
That particular thing is not there for, that's a one-off, hopefully, in the middle of the scheme of things. So it's not something that you brought into your daily life. You've got to try and not bring that into your daily life.
Absolutely. And I love that you've got digital detox. That's fantastic. And then, having that person that you connect to, that you can talk work, personal values, etc. I mean, having someone like that in your life, lucky it's your husband. Maybe for other people it's a friend or a parent or
even better if it's a friend than your husband, because it's much better to have a mentor and reach out to a mentor, or have something outside your life, because at the end of the day, you need your relationship to be there for passion and other things. You don't necessarily need it to always be your bounce back. Your partner's not going to be able to fulfill everything you need in your business. So definitely reaching out to people outside is better.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know specifically, like, I'll every now and then get my husband to check an email or a document or something before I send it. But then there's some things where I'm just like, definitely not asking his advice on this. Or I'm totally not telling him this. So sometimes you have to
100% judge that moment.
Yes, judge that moment. Exactly. Oh, Tammy, it's been so amazing chatting to you. I've really loved it.
Sorry for the chaos. I apologize. I was like, done. I've got perfect. Penelope gets sleep. I've got an hour and a half of nothing, but unfortunately with a few little hiccups along the way.
Yeah, great. And how do people get hold of you if they are looking for someone?
So my email, my website actually is going to be up tomorrow, which I'm very excited about. But just Tammy TT Consultancy, so Tammy Tinker Consultancy. My mobile number is on my Instagram, and is also on my website holding page. And my email address, tt@tammytinker.com. I'm always available to answer those. I'm quite, I used to get so many mails, and setting up a new email account is amazing how much spam you get when you're at a company and I don't get all that spam. I've like learned to clear out spam, and it's so nice not to get 37 emails of spam.
Yeah.
When you go through a list. It's another thing I'd say to people: don't sign up to too many things. Like, sign up to things that inspire you, because spam can be quite overwhelming when you get your mail and you got 180 emails. It's like, oh my gosh, and you got to like get through that. But most of them are junk. So get rid of the junk in your life. Streamline. It's very important.
Absolutely. I will actually add to that and say, the thing that I do on my Google, divides your stuff into your inbox and then promotions and social. So all those stupid Facebook, Twitter stuff goes in there. I never go there. I just click delete, and then I dump all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Promotions, I might also delete all of that, and then I just read my email. It makes it manageable.
It makes a huge difference. It makes it very manageable. And I think sometimes you can feel a bit overwhelmed, especially if you maybe a single mom or someone that maybe doesn't have as much time, and you're trying to set something up on the side. Clear things out digitally.
Well, it extrapolates. Digital life extrapolates into real life. So I think
completely.
Same applies.
100%.
Awesome. Well,
thank you so much again for having me on your channel.
Divine, and loved your baby girl. She's so cute. So thank you for being with us, and hope you have an awesome weekend.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.